contrasts, where man and bird and beast, in variegated settings of mountain, desert, and sea, present a pageant of surprises beyond the scope of human imagination. At El Kantara, gateway to the vast Sahara Desert in the southern part of Algeria, we are suddenly transported into a world of heat and mystery, where Arabs and Berbers live their lives in remote and silent seclusion, utterly indifferent to the persistent inroads of civilization. Many people seem to be under the impression that Algeria is mostly populated by Arabs, but as a matter of fact, they form only a small minority of the inhabitants, 75% of whom are Berbers, descendants of that rugged warlike race who had lived in North Africa for untold centuries before the Arabs came. Because of their sun-tanned skins caused by constant exposure to the severe African sun, the Berbers are often regarded as a colored race, but in reality they are of pure Caucasian stock, racially as white as ourselves. Among the Arabs, there is no nervous tension, no eager striving to accomplish in one lifetime what would normally require a century. They will waste their scant earnings in buying favorable horoscopes or in playing dominoes, and if no fortune comes to them, they will condone their bad luck as being the will of Allah. The streets are usually thronged with men, but seldom does one see a woman, and when she does put in an appearance, her face is heavily veiled, and her manner is shrinking and reserved. The reason for this may be due to the fact that according to their Bible, the Koran, men are superior to women on account of the qualities which God has gifted one above the other. Although the Arab men do perform a few menial duties, their most important duty in life is to pray 5 times a day, thereby assuring themselves of paradise. At Biskra in southern Algeria, there is a garden that has become world famous as the setting for a romantic novel known as the Garden of Allah. And it was here that Robert Hitchens, the author of that book, created his principal characters and endowed them with a spell of romance that has helped to make the Garden of Allah the most popular oasis in the Sahara Desert. Just beyond this peaceful acre is the hot and mystic expanse of the Sahara Desert, where a sad species of mankind courageously struggles with the unrelenting elements of heat and sand. Here dwell the nomads of the desert, depending upon frugal crops and half-starved camels for a livelihood. From the time they are able to walk, the children are saddled with the care of children, and very seldom does the opportunity present itself for the recreation which is so essential to normal childhood. It is doubtful that human life could survive here without camels, for these beasts of burden are fitted by nature for desert life and can travel for days without food or drink. They are stubborn and mean beasts, with ugly dispositions, even with their young. An orphan among them is certainly a pathetic creature. But with all its bad traits, the camel is one of man's most useful servants, and nothing has yet been invented to compete with this animal in plodding its way across the forbidding sand dunes of the Sahara. The sight of a caravan starting out for some distant oasis stirs our imagination and prompts us to admire the courage of the men who can earn a living and find the means of travel under such inhospitable conditions. Thousands of miles beyond the trackless waste of this desert, at the southern extremity of Africa, lies the Cape of Good Hope. It was around this historic promontory that the Portuguese navigator, Vasco da Gama, sailed over 400 years ago, and thereby discovered a new route to the Indies. And it is here that the waters of the Atlantic and Indian Oceans meet in picturesque rendezvous. Memorial in Cape Town is a fitting tribute from a grateful people to the memory of Cecil John Rhodes, a famous statesman and pioneer settler who probably contributed more to the early development and expansion of South Africa than any other individual. And South Africa itself is a grand tribute to the colonizing genius of the white man, who has transformed what was once a barbaric wilderness into some of the most modern and up-to-date cities in the world, of which Cape Town, Johannesburg, and Durban are the most outstanding. But even in this modern environment, there still remains an occasional reminder of the primitive that is always lurking or mingling with the civilized sections of Africa, the land of contrast. The fantastic jinrikisha boys of Durban are original and unique in their style of costume, as well as the tempo of their gait in trotting about the city. Interesting and amusing contrast is found even in the life of the African jinrikisha boy, who dresses like a barbarian when he mingles with civilization, but dons the attire of a well-dressed college student when he returns to his native people. With the money he makes posing as a barbarian in the marts of civilization, he returns as a gentleman of leisure to purchase his wife and command her obedience and servility as the lord and master of all he surveys. We have traveled around the world many times, but never before have we witnessed such a humorous twist in the hectic affairs of civilization. The kraals, or dwelling places of the natives, lend a picturesque charm to the African landscape. In the Valley of 1,000 Hills, a few miles from Durban, we are entertained by two native chiefs who are proud of their prowess in the art of self-defense. Fine specimens of physical culture and a credit to the healthful climate, and more with dexterous fingers using generous applications of mud and butterfat for the desired effect. And now we will follow in the footsteps of the famous African explorer, David Livingstone, up the Zambezi River to the Great Falls, which he discovered in 1885 and named after Queen Victoria of England. Victoria Falls, rivaled only by Niagara in its grandeur. Impression of one of the world's natural wonders that we say farewell to Africa, land of contrast.